Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Awaken Suddenly Live Quick Talk. Tonight, the haters. The time? Right now, of course, here live on the Awaken the World group page. Hello, hello, hello. So I've just taken my Lyrica now, so I've got about half an hour or so before I get a little bit goofy. More so than normal, that is. We're going to have a great little discussion on a post that had come up regarding, speaking the truth and the haters. And a little bit about Plato. Plato was born in the 5th century before Christ, roughly 424 to 428. We're a little bit foggy on that. And he, of course, was a student of Socrates and later went to go on and teach Aristotle. So, of course, there's a very distinguished background in which he operated, that's for sure. And one of the things that Plato did to protect himself is he never spoke about himself. He always spoke about Socrates, or there was always someone else in his dialogues, was not himself. And he did that to protect himself. Because, of course, in those days, the church was very powerful, and you had to watch what you said. Thank God that's not the case anymore. Or is it? So we're going to talk about those haters, and the haters of truth. And, realistically, there's a pattern that has existed all through man's illustrious history. And that is a pattern that we tend to repeat over and over and over again. Whenever someone within our society or within our societies heads off on their own in a totally new direction, seeks to upend the current state of things, and speaks out openly, and passionately, and speaks truth to the degree that others begin to flock to that person, that their truth begins to resonate with a lot of people. Well, we do a series of things to them. First, typically, we imprison them in some way. We deliver punishment upon them. A lot of times before the imprisonment, there'll be other forms of punishment. The state or members of at the state's behest will go after the family, for example. I see that Janet's here. Hello, Janet. Nice to see you. Or at least nice to see your icon, which curiously looks like a... I can't tell what it is, actually. It's too small. It could be a mushroom. It's hard for me to see it. This is the kind of the way we deal with people who push against society in any sort of way. So first we punish them in some way, then we imprison them, and eventually, one way or the other, we end up killing them. I never said that she was a mushroom, honey. Kelly said that I said that Janet was a mushroom. Janet is not a mushroom. Your icon looks like a mushroom. Trying to get me in trouble. Ha, it won't work. I'm already in trouble. Restraining orders in both heaven and hell. Go figure. I'm here forever. So, it's two hippie chicks dancing, Janet says. Okay, that's probably why I missed it. Because I just can't see that well anymore, unfortunately. So, who else do we know in our history that's gone through that same sort of thing? And it doesn't matter whether we talk about Dr. Martin Luther King, or we talk about Gandhi. The modus operandi of civilization in response to these people is the same. So, what do we face as we begin our journey of spiritual growth, of conscious awakening, outside that which is considered the norm by our friends, by our family, by our societies? And depending to the degree that we have deeply fundamental, rigid religious backgrounds, or other rigid backgrounds, we will find that there can be literally a level of hatred from people that you had thought once loved you. And you should not take this too personally, because it really doesn't have anything to do with you. It has everything to do with them. And what you are becoming is something that instills in them deep fear, unless they are open people. You know, Kelly will tell you that the one thing about me is that you either love me or you hate me. there's really not there's really not a lot of people in my existence that fall into that in between sort of state. They either love me or they hate me. And why? Because I'm polarizing. That's what people who speak the truth are, is polarizing. And when you are waking up in your new state of consciousness and you are no longer willing to accept the unconsciously driven systems of our ways of life and societies, you will begin to incur everything from being disowned, to being disliked, to being ridiculed, to being outright hated. And in some cases, that hatred may one day lead to violence. You know, Kelly and I were having an interesting conversation one day regarding a very devout and yet very kind-hearted young, I consider them young, woman that she knew. And, you know, Kelly had said to me that this woman would never harm a hair on anyone's head, that she was a very devout Christian and you know, totally into the religion. And I said to her, I said, so how much do you think it would take to change that very kind, very devoted woman into a killer? What if the pastor or priest went to a woman like that and said, I totally believe that this person is the Antichrist, and God has told me in a dream that you are to be given the task of killing the Antichrist. You know, and that really stopped Kelly cold for a minute, because she had to really think about that. You know, when it comes to hatred, and we're not only talking about hatred, which of course is the most violent form of refusing to see the similarities in each other, but instead focusing on the perceived differences, those things which separate us, those things which allow us to dehumanize. Major set of mouth troubles tonight. I can't proctocally. My merds are getting mixed up. It's the Weerica. Wascally Wabbit. So, you know, this hatred in its worst form, okay, also includes such other things, as I said, as you know, being put out of the family, as is what happened in Kelly's case, where literally for 4.5 years now, nobody really speaks to her. And when I say really speaks to her, they don't speak to her. Period. That's just it. These are the sort of things that are going to happen. You know, the journey of spiritual expansion, if we want to call it that, or conscious awakening, is a very lonely road at first. It truly is. And the reason it appears that way is because A lot of things have to be sloughed off or torn away from you. And these haters will be very good at assisting you with that. And for that, they should be loved. And ultimately, if one day, and I've always said this about myself, okay, if it is my destiny one day to die for my beliefs, that which I know, not my beliefs, that which I know, that which my experience has shown me. If I'm willing to die for that wisdom, then what better way to go from this world? I mean, really. So don't allow and please expect. It's much better if you just expect it. As you're consciously awakening, you're going to find people are going to slough away from you. The more you come into your own truth, your own personal sense of power again, the more you're going to polarize people around you. The more they're going to be divided into two categories. More and more you're going to see this. Those who love you and those who don't want to have anything to do with you or are afraid of you. And that's okay. It's actually a really good sign. You know, there's a reason why they call it the road few take, or the road less traveled. Everyone else is walking on that stuffy little highway all crammed together. We have this trail in the woods, almost all to ourselves. And when we take this trail, when we walk through these situations that appear to be stripping things away from our life, all we need to do and keep in mind is we are being freed from that which is limiting us, given the most space to expand like a flower unfolding, and making room for the new and all the things which will support your new growth that are going to come into your life. Much love to you this evening from Kelly and myself. Hope you have a wonderful night. We will see you again tomorrow. Take care.